Now welcome to another weekend ramble, where this time we're going to discuss what?
Season 2 and what it could hold
Oh,
of Ahsoka.
there are those who think you hated it so much you're not going to watch Season 2, I thought.
No, I'll watch Season 2. I
know.
liked Season 1 more than I disliked my issues and stuff,
Yes.
but I'm sick and that makes my brain a little all over the place.
Well, I think you made some
Too.
good points. I think some people misunderstood yesterday's video, where you were trying to say why go to a new galaxy and offer pretty much the same things you found in a previous galaxy.
Well, yes.
And then we discussed some other things about Filoni and his potential.
Like, part of my issue with that all was we showed some interesting things. I mean, if you saw the Zepho inspiration, the
Yep.
hieroglyphs and all that, but we never even, had a moment where, Hu Yang looked at him and, those look like possibly Zepho.
That could have been cool.
And then-
Look at you just fixed it. I've actually
I'm
think
just
that's a
saying,
good
there
idea.
were some things that they visually showed us that they just totally disregarded that I think could have expanded the story a little bit more. While the Zepho are not new, because they already exist,
Yeah.
giving us more lore for them would be very interesting.
Yeah, and it also connects it to a different, aspect of the canon, the game aspect of the canon. It makes it all feel kind of connected.
But I want to talk some about what I think Season 2 could have and some pitfalls it could possibly make.
Uh-oh, okay.
Alright, so, for Season 2, what are you thinking? What do you think you'd see out of a Season 2?
I think there's two different ways you can go.
Okay.
I think you can ignore Thrawn in Season 2 and allow that to be taken care of in another show, which could be Mando Season 4, with him working as bounty hunter / whatever for the New Republic, which was set up at the end of Season 3. And if that's the case, you could focus almost entirely on the other galaxy, which is, something that would be cool because, again, we go to another galaxy. It might be cool to see the other galaxy. And then you could deal with Mortis and Balin and Shin and her new posse of bandits, yes. And then you could also have Ahsoka and Sabine trying to figure out what to do. They encounter Balin, who's dealing with Mortis stuff, and you make a whole season out of that, essentially.
Alright, so you're thinking kind of along the same lines of what I'm thinking, because I think that's the pitfall.
Okay.
Alright, we got all these, tales at the end of this season, right? We saw the flash of them showing up at Dathomir, Ezra returning home, seeing Hera for the first time. Then we saw the Balon moment with the Mortis and the statue. We saw the Shin moment. We had the little epilogue-y type thing with Ahsoka seeing her master again. There's this Force ghost that followed her even out to the other galaxy, saw Morai.
Yeah.
I think that's where Ahsoka Season 2 has to go. I think it cannot touch Ezra and Thrawn.
I think you're going to spread it very thin if you try to do that. If, say, Season 2 holds to kind of the same formula as Season 1, where we have a tendency to have shorter episodes, where we don't really get into depth too much.
Well, it was also one overarching story.
More or less, yeah. We kind of flashed to Hera a couple times that didn't really, have too much to do with the Ahsoka stuff necessarily or directly. But I think if you do this Thrawn story and you also try to simultaneously do something profound with Balin and Ahsoka and Sabine, and then you're also going to bring in Ezra and maybe something with the new, which will of course tie into Thrawn. I think you're gonna have a full plate and have a lot of problems trying to do anything really too comprehensive, I guess.
Well, one thing that we cannot forget is the show is called Ahsoka.
It
so
is, yes.
we should be focused on what Ahsoka is doing. I think that there's enough intrigue and mystery out where she is with Sabine and Balin and Shin to keep the focus of her series with her out there.
See, that's what I 1,000% agree with, yeah.
I think the biggest pitfall they can run into is if they decide to try and continue to tell the Ezra and Thrawn and Hera story on the side, because of the fact that there's too much going on in that story, and it would compete with her story. I think that's part of the problem we faced in Mandalorian Season 3. They had the Pershing episode, they cut things up all weird, and we're like, what's going on? You're trying to tell too much in one show.
Well, it's not that you're trying to do too much as you don't want to take the time to really explore both of them, because you don't have long episodes. You don't tend to go into, again, you don't really go into depth too much with a lot of things. The Pershing episode was by far the most, kind of complex and character introspective episode we've ever had.
And
really.
while it was part of the main story, it felt so disjointed from it.
It didn't feel like it belonged in that show.
No, I think we resurrect the show Rangers of the New Republic, and maybe that's where Ezra and Hera and Zeb all can gel.
That sounds good, yeah.
Carson, another main character there. Brendan Wayne, another character in there.
He could be, yeah. He could get him out of the suit a little more.
I still think the Rangers of the New Republic, or whatever new placeholder name it would have, that's the show that needs to fill this gap. That's the show that needs to start exploring Thrawn. Remember, the main galaxy, even though they're going to hear Ezra come back and say Thrawn has returned, they still, how much are they going to believe?
Yeah.
You still have those senators like Xiono, who's just going to sit there and go, no, this is the white whale again, Hera. Your white Purgle, we can't go chasing that across the stars.
Yeah, and does the return of Thrawn really herald a eventual victory for the Empire? Are they really going to believe that? Mm-hmm. I mean, Thrawn can only do so much, as we've already kind of seen.
Well, and Thrawn's going to lay low, right?
Well, he's got to start collecting the remnants, and I don't think he's going to, like, blow his trumpet, galaxy-wide, and I've returned, now everybody flock to me. No, he's going to keep it on the down low.
He's going to go through his machinations and come out with something on the other side.
What we're really hoping for, right?
And he needs time to do that.
Yeah.
He might actually use the Imperial remnant to distract the New Republic.
Yeah, he may.
Which would be a smart thing for him to do, being as he's supposed to be a strategic kind of guy.
He is supposed to be.
So I'd really like to actually see him use the remnants of the Imperials to sort of distract them while he does whatever he is doing on Dathomir.
With Dathomir, yeah.
And that might just be his promise to the Great Mothers to just drop them off and leave. There may not be any more than that, but I hope there is.
I think that would be kind of weird, especially if you don't really, again, know Night Sisters and all these things, to have like this, the big kind of plot point here was to bring them to the other galaxy, and then you just kind of drop them off and like, yeah, they're good now, they're home, and
they can repopulate and go on.
I think you have to continue that on, otherwise people are going to be like, well, that's just a dropped plot thread entirely, right?
Exactly. Ezra, we kind of need his story, and he's got too much of a story, too, to tell in Ahsoka Season 2. Because he has to, like, acclimate to all the changes that have happened while he's gone.
Yeah.
Then there's the cool questions of his eventual meeting with Jason.
Yeah.
And will he go to Luke?
You would think so. I mean, it depends on what he wants to do now, right?
I mean, Hera says to Leia, hey, Ezra came back. Ezra's a Jedi. She goes, well, let's put him in touch with Luke. Luke's building a school.
Yeah.
It all seems very linear. Like, why wouldn't some of the only remaining Jedi in the galaxy kind of meet up and share notes?
You would think Ezra, Luke, and Ahsoka would kind of, form something together, and then maybe start looking for some students like Jason's and Ben Solo's, and maybe luring Grogu back at some point.
Who could say?
Yeah.
I want to see what happens when Ezra meets Grogu. I think that could be funny.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine if it happens.
It'll be fine. No, but I'm saying that there's way too much in the Hera, Ezra, Thrawn category to put that into Ahsoka. But that means you also have to make sure Ahsoka is full with what you've got out there.
Well, yeah, that's what it's weird because this season I feel like it was kind of a lot of empty plate. Like you could have put a little more on the plate. You could add another scoop of intrigue in there.
Right now the full plate is sitting in our galaxy, and we're worried about the plate that's in the new galaxy.
Yeah, you now have two plates, and can you do enough with both of them, considering how they tend to approach these shows, where they're really not, again, they're not a ton of meat on the bone a lot of the time. They're 35-minute episodes. They're a lot more, fun and frivolous than they are kind of deep and intricate.
Well, all we've got in the outer galaxy right now is what? Ahsoka doesn't even know that Baylan and Shin are still there. To be honest.
She doesn't.
She has no idea that they're both still there. She just thinks... We don't even know what her thoughts are. She says we are where we need to be, and Ezra's where he needs to be.
Yeah, which is just
so what inkling does she have? Does she have any inkling that something could be there?
She's showing no inkling at all. That doesn't mean she won't at the start of the next season, right? When Dave sits down to write it, he can... she immediately senses something that she didn't sense before.
I mean, obviously you're going to have Shin, possibly bent on revenge, leading the bandits against Ahsoka and Sabine.
Yeah, and the Naughty.
If they stay with the Naughty. I kind of hope they move on from the Naughty.
No, that's what you do when you're in that other galaxy.
It's weird to have full-grown people just continue with the little guys.
Why? What? They're full-grown people for their species.
Well, Ahsoka has like a ship. She doesn't have to live in a little mobile home like they do.
She doesn't have to, but I think she will.
Probably. I'm just saying, I think that they could move on and explore more, rather than just say, well, we're here, let's settle down. If she's actually where she needs to be, if she believes that, I think she should explore this area.
Sure. But I think she would still want to get home, realizing Thrawn has returned, and that's kind of their fault, right?
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Like, that's what you were trying to prevent in the first place. It's now happened, and like I said, Sabine is pretty much responsible for a lot of it. And you failed to stop him, and now you have Ezra back home, who you would think you want to give a hand to. So you would think their goal is to get home to fight Thrawn, right?
Right, and I think Shin is going to be Baylan's distraction.
Perhaps.
She's going to be, I'm gonna fight them. I'm angry. I'm upset about everything that's happened. I'm stranded here now, and I'm gonna take it all out on Sabine and Ahsoka with the bandits.
Sure.
In the meantime, Baylan can use the time that Shin is inadvertently buying him to explore what called him.
Yeah.
And get us into something deep so that by the time that they're done battling with Shin, something explosive has happened.
Yeah, well, we do have to ask what are they going to do with Balin, with, of course, Ray Stevenson. I mean...
He has to be recast. I don't...
Well, you can recast
There's
them.
no way around it. He's going to get recast.
I mean, you could go with something
where... Hopefully
they
have an actor who can bring the same energy, the same everything to the stage that he brought.
That's a tall task, but
It is.
I mean, there are options of he gets possessed by the sun's remnant or something, and that transforms his physical appearance. I mean, it depends on how you want to approach it. There are ways around just flat-out recasting, which is fine. We've discussed before. Like, fans are going to understand, right? You're not going to get all mad at that. You're going to understand. I'm sure Ray Stevenson would want the character to continue as well. So no one should get mad at that. You just want to make sure you bring someone in who can fill his mighty boots there, because he brought a lot to the role. So it's going to be hard to find someone to kind of capture that same magic.
Right.
Well, all right, that's going to be all we got for you this time. So now it's your turn. Take to the comments below and tell us what you think Season 2 of Ahsoka is going to look like. Are we going both galaxies? We going one galaxy? And if so, which one? Whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.